Shalom and welcome to Challenging Torah. We're back. I hope you enjoyed your Passover break. I certainly did. We're in the portion of Shemini, which means the 8th. And this is opening day at the tabernacle, a major festivity. All of the priests have been anointed. All of the community, and I mean all of the community, is present. This is the moment when we find the truth. I will make me a sanctuary, God says, and I will dwell within you. Will this work? It's as if this is the moment to plug it in. Aaron follows all of the directions to a T. He lays out the sacrifice in exactly the right way. He does exactly what is asked of him, lays it on the altar, steps back. And Moses and Aaron, quote, went into the tent of meeting, came out, blessed the people, and the glory of God appeared to all the people. And there came a fire out from before the Lord, and consumed upon the altar the burnt offering and the fat, which all the people saw, and they shouted and fell on their faces. It worked. Wow. The people saw God's presence. It is a moment of incredible joy. And as often happens in this moment of, we did it, something catastrophic goes wrong. Something goes out of bounds. And so the next words of the Torah at the beginning of the next chapter say, and Nadav and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, each took his censer and put fire in it and put incense on it and offered strange fire before the Lord, which he had not commanded them. And there went out fire from the Lord and devoured them, and they died before the Lord. Then Moses said to Aaron, this is what the Lord spoke, saying, I will be sanctified by those that come near to me, and all the people will be glorified. And Aaron was silent. Wow. This is, in a short paragraph, one of the most amazing pieces of writing in all of Torah. And our first questions are about Nadav and Abihu. First of all, what did they do? And they were obviously priests, privileged. There's a place in Exodus where it talks about going up to Mount Sinai, and they see with the 70 elders, they are included a vision of the Lord, and they sat and ate and drank. Maybe that was the problem. What did they do? So the sages over the last 2,000 years have had a field day in figuring out what they did wrong, right? That they're young and arrogant, that's probably true. That they did something they weren't commanded to do, that they didn't follow the directions, they thought they could wire it up just a little bit better, that was their demise. But still, it's complicated. Many write that they didn't have on proper their me'il, that blue protective covering. I always think of it as like a radioactive shield for going into super sacred places. They didn't bother to dress in that. They didn't have on their priestly garments. They were a little bit hip and let's see what we can do here. I kind of get reminded of kids doing explosives in the basement, right? Let's see if this works. Not the day to do this. But it is a strange thing where it says, I will be sanctified by those who are near to me. And so we have to ask the question, did God call them home? Were they over-enthusiastic? Did that over-enthusiasm endear them to God? And God thought, I'll just bring them home now? Very difficult to wrap one's mind around it. we're never really sure what their transgression is. We just know that there is a boundary to the sacred that one needs to approach with awe, so that before all the people I will be glorified, as God says to Moses. And Moses says this to Aaron, and you would think that Aaron would cry, would argue, would be... Aaron is silent. And this is our week that we deal in Musar with the concept of shtika, of silence. Shtika, silence, has a positive value and a negative value. We know there's times better to hold your tongue. We know that sometimes there's a silence. We just finished Passover and it's the child who doesn't know how to ask, right? We help that child. We know that there is the silence of not gossiping. We know the Talmud says to us, silence is the best medicine. But this is a deep silence, a silence that is the awe and shock of knowing there is a world that I do not control. In this synagogue, we've seen the death of a number of adult children. There's nothing that a parent can say in that moment. There's no justification. There's no argument. It's as if a chasm opens up and you see the reality, which is an awe of God and a universe we don't control. This week was the week we celebrate Yom HaShoah, the memorial for the Holocaust. And ultimately, our reaction, at first, is silence before we speak. We just showed a film called Night Will Fall, which was an HBO special, and we were lucky enough to have the director here. We showed the movie, and it's the same reaction as when I stood in Auschwitz in the gas chambers, stood right under those nozzles. I didn't speak for a day. It's as if my tongue was removed. What is there to say? How can I bring ideas and speech to a silence that is so profound that I don't know how to break that barrier? Nobody speaks leaving Auschwitz. I asked everyone to leave without saying anything. And from that silence, we find our own voices from a much deeper place of understanding that says, God, you are awesome. And I am here for a short while. And there will always be a moment that I cannot hear your voice, God, and I can barely find mine. Nadav and Avihu are here to teach us this in one small paragraph. Shabbat Shalom, and may we all find our voices to speak out against injustice and genocide, and the wisdom to learn to sit in silence.